So Sonia ma'am, we have a lot of participants joining in. Are we all set for an evening of poetry?
Yes, so it seems. I can see
Okay,
many of
great.
them joining in right now.
Okay, amazing.
This
Amazing.
is so fantastic.
Right, right. So what do the participants have in store today? Like, what do you have in store for them today?
So we are going to talk about poems. We are going to make some poems together and also explore how we can take them into the classroom. So it's going to be good fun. Saturday evening well spent, I'm sure.
Okay, amazing.
We have
And how
many
much of
people
an
joining in.
yes, amazing.
So we'll wait for
Is
some
it going to
time.
be a mix of academics? Yes, yes, yes.
It's going to be a mix of fun, actually. Lots of, not really academics, but we're going to have lots of fun together and explore what poetry is. There's someone who wants to speak to us, is it?
Absolutely. So I think the participants can make full use of the chat that we have. So I would request you to put
Absolutely.
in your comments, your questions, your suggestions all in the chat. And if we have a question for you also while we are just waiting to start up. Yes, we have a question for you, ma'am. So I have a question for you, Sonia, ma'am, to begin. And that's the question for all the participants as well. Yes, the question is, what is your favorite poetry? Yes. Just think back
Oh,
to
I
your
love
school days.
different kinds of poems. The ones which are coming right now is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. And I also like The Grackle of the Nash. It's funny, it's nice, it's interesting. So I would love to know what participants think about it.
Absolutely. We would love to hear some responses as to what their favorite poetry
Right,
is. Yeah.
right.
Okay, I
Daffodils.
can.
Someone is saying daffodils.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yes.
lovely. That is
That's
Wordsworth, right,
nice.
ma'am?
Yes. Then Ozymandias. Of course, that, how could I forget that? That's been my favorite since grade 9. And I think it's such a relatable poem even now by P.B. Shelley.
Anvita, yes, Anvita ma'am says that the solitary reaper. Remember, I was talking about this. This is also a
Right,
favorite of mine. I
right,
remember
right.
reading about it in the sixth grade. And I think please continue to put down your responses in chat. We would love to hear
Yes.
it.
And there's a Hindi ma'am, a Hindi teacher. Ma'am, please go ahead. Put in your poetry. It's just lovely. Poems are poems. So we are going to talk about them. Anyways, Brook, Road Not Taken. Oh, there's someone else who likes the one I like.
Yes, we have
The
quite the
Quality of
eclectic
Mercy.
crowd with us today.
Yes, Hema ma'am says Bangle Sellers. That's one of the favorites, Sarojini Naidu's. Absolutely love it. So there are a lot of them. They're saying The Road Not Taken is my favorite. Fantastic. I think we are warming up to the poetry session now. Oh, there are many more who's saying Solitary Reaper, of course, Ozymandias.
Yeah, there seem to be some favorites in the crowd.
Absolutely. You're so right.
Ma'am, we are
Ode to
on
a
time.
Nightingale, John Keats.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yes.
I think we
Yeah,
should
I
get
remember that.
started. Yeah.
Of course, yes. Yes, Swapnil, would you like to kind of talk first and then I follow? Is it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is a great privilege actually to share screen with you, ma'am. So a little bit about Sonia, ma'am, Sonia Duggal, ma'am. She's a seasoned professional with about 19 years of experience. Her career spans multiple roles from writing, teaching, training, storytelling, writing fiction and non-fiction pieces as well. Children books are, I think, a big part of what she does writing for even editing, fiction, non-fiction. She's a published writer as well. Material development into for CBSE, ICSE schools, a long-standing association with a lot of different publishers, I think, to name a few things. And she's also a certified ELT trainer. So I think a long list of achievements here for ma'am. And I think, ma'am, would you like to add something to that, that huge list?
You've
Yeah.
spoken more than what I can add to. Thank you so much for this introduction, Swapni. So it's going to be a very fun session, interactive session. You can put in your comments, which you've already started by putting it in the chat box. Uh, let's start now. What do you say, Swapni?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would love for you to take the lead on this.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Let's get started.
So today, what we are going to do, let me just set the agenda clear here. So straight. First thing, what we are going to learn is explore different types of poems, understand rhyme schemes, learn how to express emotions through poetry. So what is poetry? What is poetry for you, teachers? What do you, maybe if it's one word, what comes to your mind when I say poem?
That's an
Is someone
interesting thought.
writing
One
there?
word,
Just one word. All
exploration,
right.
song,
All right.
expressing thought, lots
Right.
of imagery,
Yes. Imagery, of course. Yes.
way of
What else?
expression, lot of
Absolutely.
comments coming in, rhyme and rhythm, imagination. Wow, I'm loving the comments here. Please keep them coming.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
condensed
it's talking
story.
about elucidate. Yeah. It talks about elucidating feelings, emotions, ideas, and it's a condensed story. So whatever you're putting in, as I see it, there are like hundreds of comments coming in. It's very difficult to kind of keep up pace with you all, but you've almost covered whatever I'm supposed to tell you here. So poetry is basically all of this. It expresses feelings, ideas, stories in a creative way. It has rhythm, it has rhyme, and it also has a particular structure. Okay, and it's a musical way of saying something special. So this is what Wordsworth got to say about it: the spontaneous flow overflow of powerful feelings. And Emily Dickinson says, if I read a book and it makes my body so cold, no fire uh, can ever warm me, I know that is poetry. Dylan Thomas says, poetry is what makes me laugh or cry or yawn, what makes my toenails twinkle, what makes me want to do this or that or nothing. That's profound. That's deep, right? So that's exactly what poetry is.
Absolutely.
So if we move forward, there has been poetry over the years and the form has kept changing. Okay, if you start with ancient epics, that's also was the way people were telling stories to each other, right? The oral form. And why poetry? Because it stays with us for the longest time ever. So we have Homer's Odyssey. And then if we move forward, we have the Renaissance period, John Milton, William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe. They're writing poetry and drama. So then we have Romantic period where we have Byron, Shelley, Claridge's, Kubla Khan, Keats, Ode on a Grecian urn, which embraces emotions, nature, and the sublime. Let's move forward. Beyond the Romanticism is haikus, Emily Dickinson, Early American Voices, T.S. Eliot, and Walt Whitman. I'm sure you would have all read a part of something while in your journey to poems. And then we come to the modern evolution. And this is very fascinating for me, the spoken word, slam poetry, and rap. So we're going to talk and explore all this. And beyond that, we are also going to take it forward and how to introduce it to the children into the classroom. So that's the whole idea because sometimes poems really scare us, right? How to take it forward into the classroom, how to introduce it to the children in the classroom. So that's exactly what we are going to talk about in next 1 hour. Poetry has form. Do you all agree with it? If you, yes, Swapni, just go and see what the teachers got to say about it. And
Yes, they
what
do agree to it. All of them seem to be agreeing. Yes.
and and of course, what does form mean? Do you have, again, we are just going to do one word, two words. I don't want sentences here. When I say poetry has form, so what are we talking about here?
Some say pattern. It's a pattern, rhythmic
Right?
pattern,
Absolutely.
structure.
Absolutely. Melody. Hmm. Okay. So poets, they select words, there's conciseness, with conciseness and clarity. There's emotive quality, musicality, line spacing, and page layout. And then the poets also use very good words, or the word choices are very apt or appropriate. And poets find meaning in the ordinary. What is the purpose of poetry? If you notice, prose or stories, they narrate, describe, or argue. But poetry goes often beyond the literal. It explores emotions, sorrow, joy, anger, love, and also surprises the reader with an aha moment. I remember so many of my poems, and when I go through and I kind of, can narrate lines to myself about that. It offers revelations, insight, and deeper truths. So that is the purpose of poetry. Poetry, so this was the, basically a more serious part of it. But let's go into it, the fun of poetry. Do you think poetry can be fun?
Yes, Sushma ma'am says that poetry doesn't have to follow any rules. That's the poetic
Absolutely.
license.
Correct. So, but that's also true, because if we have free verse, then it doesn't follow rules, but it still connects with us, right? It connects with us when it comes to emotions. It just connects with it, it stays with us. We will be exploring that part of it also. And we are also talking about not just emotions in a very, deeper manner. We are also talking about fun in poetry, where when the children are small, we introduce poems as gibberish. What is
Okay, right.
gibberish now? Can you remember any gibberish word, Swapni? Anybody
Um,
which
yeah,
you've read?
like sounds, is that like splish, splosh when the
That's
water
onomatopoeia
can?
words. That's
Okay,
onomatopoeia words. Can
okay,
somebody contribute to that? Roll the hulls.
okay, correct, right, right. Yes.
Yeah. How many of you can kind of connect to gibberish words?
I can see words that make sense over here.
Yes,
Like in the chat, I can see Russell, Bustle. I see Hakka,
absolutely.
Bakka.
Whooshy, Wondercrown, Fizzwiggler. So these are very gibberish words, but they are fun words. And if you keep reading them, they also have meanings. These are nonsense words, sounds, and phrases. They necessarily don't have sense, but they have rhythm, they have rhyme, and there's a sound of words. So that's what we are going to talk about now. Now, when we are introducing poetry to children, it's important that we talk about just the rhyme, the language. See, a lot of us, English is a second language. So, to connect to a language, poetry is a very strong medium. So, everything should not be explained to the children right in the beginning. So, there has to be a process to it, right? So, the first thing is to introduce them to rhythm and rhyme. It's as simple as twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So there is a rhythm, the rhyme which is taking place here. Nonsense poems are something like what very famous, which Edward Lear writes. I'm just going to read one to you. On the top of the crumpety tree, the Quangle Wangle sat, but his face you could not see on account of his beaver hat, for his hat was 102 feet wide, with ribbons and bibbons on every side, and bells and buttons and loops and lace, so that nobody ever could see the face of the Quangle Wangle Queek. See how fun this is. So, this
Yes,
is
for
how
sure.
poetry should be introduced to the children when they're just growing up. All right. So, let's move forward. So I'm going to make you do a lot of activities out here. There's another
Yes.
one which I wrote, in the land of Bibble Blob, where the zizzle goes zip zop or zip zip all day. The pupils are fluffy and bright, and everyone loves to hop and play. Now it's your turn. If you see, I have some made up words there, but I've also used verbs and adjectives. So this is a very fun way of introducing poetry to children of grade 1 and 2. Just try it out, teachers, if you'd like to try these poems out.
And this is
You
a
just
quite
have to.
helpful template, I think, for the teachers and the students to uh, fill up and, make something.
So just try it out if you can make some poem out of it. And Swapnil can read it out.
Sure, sure. I will do that. Are you able to hear me, ma'am?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. We have quite a few hands raised over here. I would request if you have some poem to share, you can definitely share it in the chat. It's my request to the participants.
So yeah, somebody has started actually in the land of Ratalas. That's nice. Where? Just write the words and Swapnil will make a poem. Oh, that's nice. Hop a little, jump a little, 1, 2, 3. Swapnil, do you have a poem there?
Um, I'm actually at a loss of word right now. I think yes, Nabanita ma'am has a nice rhyme scheme over
Okay.
here going. In the land of blibble blob, where the zizzle goes zip zip all day, the fluffles
Hmm.
are fluffy and bright, and everyone loves to hop and play. That's
Yeah, there's
nice.
another one which is coming where the mutter butter goes whining all day in the land of rivers. So this is how you can actually do something like this in the classroom with younger children, also older children. This can go on. I mean, we are enjoying it. I am sure all of us are enjoying playing with words here. Okay. So this is how you introduce poetry to children at a lower grade. Okay. So shall we move forward?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I just read a comment in the chat box which says, what are the strategies to teach poems in early years? So, exactly that's what we are going to address right now. That's what somebody just messaged. Please begin with short, simple poems. You don't have to kind of explain. And the good part is just go along with the flow. So, when I was a pre primary teacher, I started as a pre primary teacher. We used to walk down the road and then just kind of sing a song. It might be just as simple as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to Humpty Dumpty, whatever. And five little ants or 10 little ants walking down, marching down the lane. So these are the kind of poems you should introduce because language development is also happening in the children at that age. So begin with short, simple poems. Use visual aids and prop as much as possible. Props doesn't mean really props. It can be you also with action. So do actions, do gestures. As Swapnil mentioned, I have a lot of students who are learning English for the first time. They are mostly expats. And most of the times I'm teaching through actions and gestures and getting poems inside in the conversation. Okay. When you are happy and you know it, clap your hands, clap, clap. So they're just learning. When you are happy and you know it, click your fingers. So that's how the children start learning a lot. Then, of course, choral reading should be part of children. And the choral reading is always good. It doesn't stop at early years. Choral reading can go up. And there's a rhythm and the rhyme. We all follow each other. It's part of collaboration also, where we are talking about choral reading. Of course, there has to be a focus on rhyme and rhythm, and you can have lots of play games around rhymes in the classroom, circle time activities, cat, mat, sat, fat, sit in the classroom. I met a cat. It was sitting on a mat, and then they can continue with that. So, what's happening is it's not just rhymes, they're also building on their sentence structures and languages there. Encourage drawing. So if you are explaining, so there's so much digital exposure right now. So if if one is just narrating a story or a poem especially, ask them, the children, to draw. What do they think about it? I'm just going to do it right away after the slide. Make it a performance. That's the best part about it. Okay. What is very important is repetition. It's not do it one time and just leave it at that. Keep repeating the poems. It's beautiful to just kind of keep doing the same poetry again and again and again till it becomes their own and they can relate with it. Moving, connect to personal experiences. So, any questions as of now, you can type in. Swapnil will talk about it, or any sharing, because I see a lot of comments coming in there.
Some choral reading, I think examples were needed by some teachers in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to just go slowly into the examples. We started with a fun poem. So we are
Sure,
going to
sure.
actually, it's 1 hour. We're going to explore all kinds of examples as we go forward. Okay. And we'll come to this. So if you look at this, this is a poem which I had written when my kid was small. And it goes like Nani's earrings as white as milk, Nani's clothes as smooth as silk, Nani's voice as sweet as honey, Nani's hair as soft as bunny, Nani's halwa as yummy as love, Nani's walk as graceful as dove, Nani's stories as old as the hill, Nani's hugs warms me up still. So this went into a textbook. And what we had done was we had given, the children had to draw their Nani here, their imaginative Nani reading the poem. So when I say drawing, this is what I meant. So here the children can actually, and it's their choice, whatever they would like to draw. So there's no input from the teacher or the facilitator. The child expresses their thought here. I hope this was good.
Yeah, I think a lot of comments are liking it, they're finding it beautiful, superb, and amazing. They're appreciating
And
you for it.
so this is how you can do poetry in the classroom where the children draw poems. And I'm making it very tangible because when you start, poems also supposed to be abstract, right? But abstract comes much later when the children understand the abstract part of things. So that will come grade 4, 5, 6, 7 onwards, right? Uh, Junior classes, make it tangible, make it real for them, make it relatable. So the examples which I'm giving are very, very relatable around their place. We are using words like halwa, we're using words like honey, bunny. These are the words which children can relate with very strongly. Let's go beyond this. Another way of introducing poetry to children is through acrostic poems. I'm sure some of you or most of you would know what acrostic poem is. So each line or word starts with a letter from a word or phrase. And it's such a fun way. You can do it all across, even now, like children of grade 10, 11, 12 love to make acrostic poems. So we can start at a very small level and go on to make acrostic poems. So there's one example which is on love. So if you've seen, the word love is written vertically and it goes like luminous sky over the hills, very bright stars, endless dreams. All right. So I would request you to try your hand at writing an acrostic poem right now. I have put in some words like mom, dad, son. Choose a word, put it in, give you 2 minutes to do that. In the meantime, I mean, we are there reading your comments.
Yeah, Dr. Arun has written one for dream.
Okay. Oh, that's a big one. Go on, please. Would you like to read, Swapnil?
Let me try. Dare to chase your hopes and fears, rise above the doubts that bind every moment, seize the chance, Yeah, I think that's how it goes. It's quite a long one. Yeah.
Right. So, mom, I can read one. My best friend, upbeat and positive, most loving person. It's fantastic. For a child, grade one, writing this is so fantastic, right? And somebody says magical women, my favorite. So, this is how you can encourage children to start expressing themselves with the topics which are very close to them, right? Which they can relate with. This is just the beginning, actually. So, it's very important that make it tangible. Poem should be tangible. So all this is very important. Let's go forward and see what else do we have in store here. Have you heard of diamond poem? Swapnil, has somebody heard of diamond poems?
Um, yeah, I think is it diamond in shape?
Maybe. Anybody else? Any comments there? Okay, we still getting poems coming in.
Yes, yes, yes. I think they've taken time to compose those poems. I think theme-based, grammar, consists of 7 lines. These are some of the responses.
Correct. So
Mountain.
let me share what diamond poem looks like. So if you see, diamond poems are 7 lines. Somebody did mention that, and it has a special format. If you see, it starts with sun, bright, warm, shining, radiating, glowing, daylight, sunshine, heat, light, cooling, fading, setting, calm, cool, moon. If you read it the other way, it still makes sense. If I do upside down, moon, calm, cool, cooling, fading, setting, daylight, sunshine, heat, light, shining, radiating, glowing, bright, warm, sun. Is there something happening here? Are we choosing the words carefully? What do you think? What are we doing here?
They seem connected, right? Seem connected.
I think so, but how is it connected? Do you see? Yes, somebody did mention something about grammar here. So it's connected like this. So if you want to see this, it's noun followed by adjectives and followed by verb ing, then followed by 4 nouns, followed by verb ing, adjectives, and then noun. So if you can choose topics like night and day, and it's beautiful because it still connects so deep. If you read the from top to bottom or bottom to top, it's all making sense out here, isn't it? And this can be a very collective activity of collaboration. You can ask children to, okay, let's choose topic and then write adjectives. What does sun make you think of? What does moon make you think of? And then maybe segregate them into adjectives, verbs, and then make a combined poem there. So these are the kind of things. Now, what one is doing is it's not just poetry happening, we are also introducing grammar through poems. So this is a very relevant question. People have been asking me over and again, over again. Can we do grammar through poems? Maybe yes. Okay. I had a student who was not interested because, again, it was a second language. She was in grade 8 and wasn't interested in learning English as the language. So, but then I also realized that she loves K-pop and she likes music. So, what I did was introduced music to her and I started teaching grammar through songs. And suddenly the interest developed because poems and songs, they connect so deep with us. And I got her back as a student, and now she is a very fluent speaker. So this is what poem can do. Any interesting comments coming in, Swapni?
Yes, they're saying combination of grammar, I think rhymes, those kind of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are going step by step. I'm just taking you across in a very methodical, step by step way. So we are getting, if you see, we started with a rhyme there, and then we did a gibberish poem to start with, which was like simple, then acrostic. Now we are at the diamond poem. So moving forward, if you see, I have a poem from Wellington. This is a grade 2 poem and very relatable when it comes to rhymes. How about some idli dosa or nice hot samosa? Let us eat some sweet mithai, yummy, rubbery, and malai. Would you like some puri bhaji or fried brinjal bhaja? Spongy, fresh dokla is nice to gobble up in a trice. But do not hurry when you eat. Careful not to spill any treat because food is precious and also so delicious.
Sounds
So
like
you see,
fun and delicious.
right. What's very important is, I mean, what we are doing here is exactly what, again, I'll emphasize this is exactly relatable, something, it's not all English in a certain way, but poem doesn't have a language, right? So we can just expand there and let children learn, right? So these are fun things which you can do in the classroom and introduce children to rhyme. If you see dosa, samosa, mithai, malai, nice, twice, eat, treat, precious, delicious, everything rhymes there. So you can kind of do rhyming words like these in starting from 3-letter words, one can go above and beyond that. And also it helps build vocabulary, words, how to place words. If you see then in grade 3, this was grade 2 we were talking about. In grade 3, we have paper boats. How many? Somebody mentioned paper boats. I love this poem by Rabindranath Tagore. It goes something like this. Day by day, I float my paper boats one by one from the running stream. In big black letters, I write my name on them and the name of the village where I live. I hope that someone in some strange land will find them and know who I am. I load my little boats with shively flowers from a garden and hope that these blooms of the dawn will be carried safely to land in the night. I launch my paper boat and look up into the sky and see the little clouds setting the white bulging sails. I know not what playmate of mine in the sky sends them down the air to race with my boats. When night comes, I bury my face in my arms and dream that my paper boats float on and on under the midnight stars. The fairies of sleep are sailing in them, and the lading in their baskets full of trees. Was that fun?
Yeah, very dreamy actually.
Yeah. Any comments there? Has people, do you like the poem? But if you notice, what kind of poetry is this? Of course, it's imaginary, but is it rhyming somewhere? What genre of poetry will you put this in?
Is it like a story?
Okay. Any other? Does it
Think
rhyme? Does it rhyme?
no, it doesn't.
So, what do we do here? What kind of poem is this then if it doesn't rhyme? Do we have poems which don't rhyme? Somebody did mention about it when we were talking about it right in the beginning. I remember somebody mentioning it. Okay, this is
Someone
this
tell
is
it's
free
three
verse.
words.
Absolutely correct. A lot of them are writing it is free verse. All right. So this is free verse, but it has lot of poetic devices with it. If you see, there is alliteration, which is big black. What is alliteration? She sells seashells on the seashore. Betty bought some butter, but she found the butter bitter. So she bought some better butter to make the bitter butter better. So that's a poetic device. Then if you see, we have consonants there. Which line? Okay. I launch my paper boats and look up into the sky and see the little clouds setting the white bulging sails. So consonants are the consonants which are repeated in a line again and again and again. What are the two consonants which are repeated? Yes, please. What are the two consonants? Any ideas there? K and L are repeated. Launch, look. I've also, highlighted sky, little, bulging, sails. So now I'm just getting into the nitty-gritties of how to decipher a poem for middle school now. For children of grade 3, you don't have to go into the details of it. It's still the rhythm, the rhyme of it. It's very imaginative, as a lot of you said. It has a lot of imagery and a lot of relatability, right, at that age. Similarly, if you look at words like boats and float, that's assonance. If you notice, OA and OA are repeated again and again. And there's one thing which I love, because when I'm writing poetry, I love this, where you go through the line and it goes to the thought is not complete and you go to the next line. And the word is enjambment. It goes like, when night comes, I bury my face in my arms and dream that my boats float on and on under the midnight stars. So it also creates a curiosity in the reader to go to the next line and read it. What's happening next? So that's how poetry works. So this poem especially has all these poetic devices. Of course, there are metaphors for you to find out. There's imagery and there's a lot of symbolism which is happening. Another very important thing is, anything you would like to say here? Any of you?
There's like
Swapnil, anything? Mm,
imagery, continuation of the next line, sentences
absolutely.
continues
Enjambments.
into the next
Right.
line. Yeah.
Correct. So there's a lot of metaphors, there's a lot of imagery and symbolism which is happening in the poem. Okay, so some fun, which is why, because Swapnil is very interested in this form of poetry. Okay, can you guess that? Swapnil, what am I talking about?
Is it like haiku?
It is haiku, but let's go before that. Let's do poetry and syllables. So, a
Sure.
very important part of, before we go on to haiku, because it's talking about syllables, we will talk about syllables. So, children are introduced to syllables, not just for spellings, but poetry purposes, where, for example, drumstick, banana, butterfly, caterpillar, butterfly again, elephant, dog, chocolate, cookie, dessert, doctor, table, chair. So these are the kind of activities which can be done into the classroom. It helps with pronunciation. It helps with smelling. It also helps in building up how to, there's poetry in the language, right? And how it goes, the intonations, the tones, the stress and the unstress. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about before we go on to the haiku. So why syllables? Syllables are very important because they give rhythm and structure and feel. So when we talk about rhythm, what are we talking about here? We are talking about patterns of syllables. Okay. For example, if I say, I went to town to buy a loaf of bread. I went to town to buy a loaf of bread. So what I'm doing is da dum da dum da dum da dum. So there's a rhythm there. All right. So these are so you stress and you unstress. I went to town to buy a load of bread. So dadam, 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 dadam. Okay. Similarly, there's a flow. For example, if I say the cat sat on the mat, okay, there's a flow, right? But if I say the cat quickly sat on the blue mat, that's unbalanced. That's a story, right? So there's a flow of syllables which happens in poetry. Let's look at the structure. So there is a structure which we are going to talk about when we talk about haiku, for instance, or synchron. Okay, so let's wait for that to happen. Like haiku has a syllable, 5, 7, 5 syllables. So, and then that's how it is formed. Emphasis. For example, emphasis meaning repetition. Like twinkle, twinkle, little star, it becomes memorable, musical. Again, the same example, right? Of course, we have hundreds of examples out there. So moving on, let's look at haiku. This is Swapnil's favorite. That's what he told me just before. And it's very simple. It's 3 lines. It has a pattern of 5, 7, 5. And I have a very deep example here. Would you like to read, Swapnil?
Yes, sure. I'll give it a try.
Yeah,
My internet's a bit rickety, so bear with me. Can you hear me just fine, ma'am?
absolutely fine.
Okay. The old pond's silence, broken by a frog's splash, quiet returns again. Did I read it
Absolutely.
right?
Yes, I'll read it again. The old pond silence, broken by a frog splash, quiet returns again. See, the thing is, when you're doing poetry in the class, please do not start explaining poems to the children. Give them time to absorb. Read it multiple times. Swapnil read, I read, somebody else can read. So it's very important to read and just make it. And if you read it multiple times, there are multiple meanings which will come out. That's the fun of the depth of poetry, right? So if you look at it again, winter solitude in a world of one color, the sound of wind. This is by the Japanese haiku poet Matsubashu. Again, of course, this is a Japanese form of poem. So it is written around love and nature usually, but one can experiment and write about friends and whatever you'd like to write about and follow the syllables patterns. Any thoughts there so far?
Yeah, I think we can see some haikus in the chat as well.
Oh, lovely. Wouldn't you love to read a couple of them?
Yes, yes. Closing their eyes and listening, students can visualize the poem. Yeah, that's the
Right.
3 lines.
Absolutely.
The hosts
Yeah.
and panelists are not reading my messages. That's why no response. I think that's also a haiku someone's made here.
No, it's not like we are reading, yes, sir. We are absolutely there with you. Yes. See, we are reading all the comments. Even I'm there with you. About classrooms, silent desks await, learning seeds in eager minds, knowledge blossoms here. Very nice. Absolutely fantastic. So please encourage children to express themselves and let them just read and express and form their own method of writing. And correction is like, if I give them a structure, I'm sure they'll love to do it if introduced in the correct manner, right? So these are the kind of things, please go ahead, do it with the children. All right. We'll move on. We have not finished yet. Somebody mentioned in the chat box limericks. The fun part of it. I remember spending my grade 9 and 10, 30 years back, writing limericks for the children who used to pass out from school. So that's my connect with limericks, and it still goes on. So, limerick is again a 5 line. It has again, now we are talking about rhyme scheme, which is AABBA. So, there once was a man from Peru who dreamed he was eating his shoe. He awoke with a fright in the middle of the night to find that his dream had come true. So if you see the last line connects to the first line. and it becomes fun. And they're supposed to be funny, right? So I'll read it again. There once was a man from Peru who dreamed he was eating his shoe. He awoke with a fright in the middle of the night to find that his dream had come true. Just look at the irony of the situation that usually they say, oh, it's a dream, not come true, but this one came true. So it's fun. Language is fun. So please introduce your children to this. So there's another person who's written, Rajni sir has written something. So, okay. So if you see again, there is a structure to it. That's a fun part. So it's not like there's no structure to it. So line one has 8 to 9 syllables. You can actually count. There once was a man from Peru. Okay. Second has 8 to 9. Line 3 has 5 to 6. Then line 4 has 5 to 6. Not very difficult to follow actually. And line 5 has 8 to 9 syllables. See, there's a lot of thinking which is happening. There's a lot of, actually, I should be using, I do not know when it comes to poem, but there's a lot of critical thinking also happening. Which words to be used, how to place the words correctly. All right. It can be a group activity where children join together because a lot of poems, when I write, I actually sometimes call my friends. Okay, if I'm writing for children, sometimes you get stuck because otherwise you can go wherever. And I say, okay, does this sound fine? Okay, let's try it again. So these are the kind of activities which you should be doing in the classroom with the children. Sounds good? Any comments there?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. Actually, the participants have written down some of their poems as well.
Right. I can see. Yep. Lots. Okay. So we are going to look at it. I'm sure we will look at it, teachers. So, but let's go forward because we are constrained with time also. And I have so many interesting things to share with you. Then is Cinquan, which comes Cinquan means 5 lines. It's a 5 line poem. Again, the traditional Cinquan had 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, and the modern Cinquan has 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And again, make it fun. No, this left side seems very tough to understand. This is more for the teachers. But once you do the syllables, you do a step by step, it's going to be very easy for the children to start writing poems. All right. Ice cream, cold and yummy. I love its sweet richness as it finds its way into my tummy. And that's an example of a cinquet. So when you're doing poems in the classroom, please do this. What happens is they get all the poetic devices, slowly, gradually, they'll understand how to use alliteration because we are doing alliteration and so many other things. So all this will fall in place as we go forward. Let's move to this one. I love this because I love making it. The one which I'm showing you is made by me. You got to guess, okay? Shape poems. Tall. What am I talking about when I say tall? Any comments there?
Uh, Not yet. Yeah, I think. Yeah, animal,
What
tree,
am I talking about? Animal, thing. Okay.
straight,
Very
trees,
tall.
trees.
Very, very tall. Again, anything coming to your mind? What the poem is about? Okay. Standing straight, grounding to the earth. Any ideas now? I'm sure this is a giveaway.
Mountains, trees are some of the
Yeah, a
responses.
lot of them got tree. You're right. You're spot on. It's tree. Okay, let's read the poem now. My leaves quiver to the gentle breeze. I stand knotted, gnarled, solid, sturdy, and strong. As my feet run deep into the soil like upside down branches, supporting, nourishing, nurturing. So if you see, it is in the form of a tree. So these are the kind of things you can do in the classroom. This has gone into Burlington's books, I think grade 3 or 4. So this is a poem I had written, and I just feel, yes, old oak tree. Actually, that's what it came across as to me when I was writing, because it's talking about supporting, nourishing, nurturing at the end of it. So you see, this is how shape poems work, and then we can go on and on about these poems. But at the end of it, what's important is poems are emotions, right? We all agree to that. So right now, think of one emotion which you are feeling. All right, this is an activity for you all teachers. One emotion you are feeling very strongly, just write it down. All right. For example, just one emotion. This is for the children. Write down 3 emotions, pick up one. Okay. Now I'll just share my emotion right now, which is happiness. And it goes like, my emotion is happiness. It feels like sunshine on my face. It looks like a big, bright smile. It sounds like laughter in the air. And now it's your turn to write your emotion and share the poem with us. This is going to be nice. What are you feeling right now as we go through this?
A lot of happy,
Any
joy, overwhelm,
right.
definitely.
So can you define your emotions then? Like the way I have done it, which is okay, my emotion is love. Okay, Poonam ma'am, just go on. It feels like, what does love feel like for you? Okay, now we are making emotions tangible here, right? My emotion is gratitude. I'm feeling like butterflies in my stomach. That's nice. It feels like butterflies. Nervous or happiness also feels like butterfly. It looks like, so here, smile on my face. Absolutely, smile on my face. My emotion is bliss. It feels like a child's kiss, which I can never miss. Nice. So, very nice. So, this is how my emotion is happiness. So, I'm actually, it's just going up. I'm trying to read. Let's read it. My emotion is peace. I don't get something, something. It's just kind of, scrolling through. So, I'm not able to catch a lot of you. Right. Anger. It comes like thunder on my face. What does it feel like? That looks like. All right. So, yes, these are, and also you'll understand your children better. There's a lot of social, emotional things which happen with poems. Because when they express themselves, I am part of a jury for writers' workshop, and I'm reading the poems, and I can sense what they're feeling at this point in time of their lives. So it's a very good way. Poetry is a very strong medium to connect with children. Let's come to the next part of it, which is ballads and sonnets. What are ballads? So ballads are also part of India, right? Folk ballads. We have so many of them, Sohini Mahibal, and so on and so forth. It talks about love, it talks about people, all right? So ballad is basically a form of story. It deals with adventure, tragedy, or love. I'm going to ask Swapnil, he likes one ballad. He was talking about it to me. And it has a very simple structure and very short lines, and there's a rhyme in a pattern. And there's a chorus also. Ballads are easy to remember. This was another form of storytelling, you know. And then it's very interesting how it works. So many folk songs and old tales are ballads. It's about heroes, outlaws, or love. Which one is yours? Favorite, Swapni? You spoke about it the other day.
Uh, are you referring to
Lakhinam.
Lochinvar?
Yes,
Lochinvar.
you're right. Right, right. Okay. So sonnets, again, love poems, mostly, again, there's a structure. It's a 14 line. It can't go beyond that. There is a rhyming scheme which goes A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. Okay. There is a focus on feelings, big time focus on feelings, longing, thought. So there are two kinds of sonnets, Shakespearean and patriarchal. I've read a lot of Shakespearean actually sonnets, all right, not the Italian ones. And Shakespeare wrote many famous sonnets about love or beauty. Would you like to, anybody coming from any other region, you can talk about ballads, the popular ballads in your region. Would you like to mention some there?
Jack and Jill, is that a ballad?
That's a poem. Okay. So this is as far as ballads and sonnets is concerned. I think we have covered a lot of ground when it comes to poems, right? What do you think? What's left now?
I think
Any
something
clue?
modern.
Yes, you're right. We haven't spoken. And this is something which fascinates me because this came when I wasn't too young. So I love listening to slam poetry, spoken word, and rap. Rather, rap is so interesting and so rooted in India also. And it's began in Dharavi and how it just kind of talks about social things. So if you see, there is spoken word, which is performed out loud, expresses emotions, and spoken word is performed without music. It focuses on emotion, storytelling, and vivid language. And where it happens? Poetry events, open mics, festivals. I see a lot of them on the internet all the time. Then button poetry or slam poetry. Am I correct, Swapnil there?
Yeah, it does sound very interesting. Yes, yes, right, absolutely.
Right? And that's performance poetry, okay? Performed without, again, music, usually for competitions, very passionate, social themes. And then we come to rap, very popular. If you see, actually, a lot of schools are mixing Macbeth. Do you see rap in that? Especially the witches, when they speak, it's almost like a rap. And I know of, a set of children who set that to rap. And it is for entertainment. It tells a story. There's rhythm and rhyme, of course, and music and beats and word plays, of course. Swapnil, do you have one something to share with us? I'm actually
Um,
rooting for you here.
okay, okay. All right.
He's
Actually,
younger to us. So, yeah, I'm just thinking.
so I was just thinking it's the pace, right? I think the pace also, any song or
Right,
any
right.
poem, if said like in a quick manner, it can become a rap, right? Is
But
that
it
right?
has to have rhythm. It has to have rhyme. It has to have beats, right? How to stop.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so all that, whatever we've done about beats and all. So, anything you can't, it's put to rap. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Right, 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 right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Somebody saying we did grammar rap for our English department competition. Absolutely fantastic. This is really good.
Sounds, yes, yes.
Any questions? Because if you guys don't have questions, I have a set of quiz set for you. Any questions there? Okay, so let's put you through a quiz because we've actually covered a lot of ground of poetry. We started like little small and then went on to talk about haiku, and we talked about limericks, and we talked about ballads and sonnets, spoken word, slam, rap. All right. And we also talked about poetic devices. So, quickly, if you can match this alliteration, quickly, and you can actually just write all of them like matching, right? For example, what is alliteration? And I'll quickly give you examples also. Alliteration would be something like silly snakes slither swiftly. So where is that alliteration? The definition. Okay. Allusion. Allusion is interesting, huh? He's a real Romeo. That's an illusion, right? Assonance. That would be the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. So I'm giving cues here actually. Okay. A symbol. A dove represents peace. Connotation. She's feeling blue today. Consonants. Mike likes his bike. Okay. Do we have answers here?
Yes, some of them. One is to D,
Perfect.
right? And how
Two.
about the second one? Yeah.
1D.
Can I
Correct. Two.
to F? Is that F?
Okay. Okay. Two. Two is A.
Okay, two is A. Right, right. Illusion, yes. Okay.
Right. It's allusion, a reference in literature to a person, place, or thing in history. I said he's a real Romeo, so that's an allusion to Romeo
Right,
and
right,
Juliet,
right.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Three is what is three? Are you typing it in? Three is
Uh,
E, someone says.
E, yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Four is B. Four is B. Correct, Sushma ma'am, you're right. Four is B. Five, five is five is F and six is C. Perfect. So you see, that's like almost rhyming out here. Okay, let's move on to the next. We talked about enjambment, where the words go into the next line. I'm actually explaining it to you. Free verse, hyperbole. I told you million times to clean the room. That's hyperbole. Onomatopoeia words. Tap, tap, pitter, patter, chum, chum. Those are onomatopoeia words. Personification. The wind whispered to me. Rhyme. The cat wore a hat and sat on a mat. So, shall we have the answers now? What are the answers? 1E. I'm giving it out actually. Personification is giving human form to inanimate objects. You're right. Somebody is writing it. So it's 1E, 2C, 3D, 4B. Please check your answers. 5F, 6A. Perfect. Lot of people are writing 6A. Yes, of course. 2C, 3D, 4B, 5F, 6A. Perfect. Dr. Arun Agarwal. I can read it. Perfect. That's fantastic. So, any questions you have? We are almost at the fag end of our poetry session. If you have any questions, please ask. We look forward to your questions. Any feedbacks, any takeaways? Everything it's absolutely welcome. We are waiting for your questions. Okay. Lots of takeaway today's. Okay. It was a really amazing session. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful. You took out time on a Saturday evening to come. It's I hope you'll use all the activities in the classroom. Yeah. Very informative. Thank you. Interesting, memorable. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I think
Thank
a
you.
lot of appreciation. Some of the questions are getting lost in the appreciation, actually.
That's what I'm just looking at. Maybe we can get back to them.
So the recordings would be available on our YouTube channel for even for the prior previous recordings, you can log on to our YouTube channel for Burlington English.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.